Hey friends, in today's video we're going to give you 25 first liners that you can cold email anyone with inside of Clay for as low as just a fraction of a cent. And specifically, those are the exact first liners that you can use in order to find a personalized and relevant icebreaker for every individual prospect that you send an email to. And by the end of this as well, you could grab the guide with every single video tutorial teaching you how to basically create each one of those opening lines for every single one of those emails. As you can see, this guide over here will look something like this. So it will give you the exact opening line, it will give you the enrichment that you need to use, and more than that, you will have a video to click on. So for example, if I click on this video over here, it redirects me into a Loom video that walks you step by step how you can copy and paste this exact opening line for your specific use case. So if you want to grab that, all you have to do is go to the link underneath the video wherever you're watching it right now. The link underneath the video is, if this is the video in front of you, the link will be down here where it says get the Clay workbook template. It will literally be this link that you need to click, and it will take you to the exact prompts and to the exact videos. Well, I just want to explain why it's really important to have personalized and relevant icebreakers inside of Clay, and the reason is because they get you positive reply rates like the ones that you can see on the screen right now. And more than that, it gets the prospect to reply to you saying, hey, you got my attention. Hey, this is a great approach. Hey, I'm stealing this email. Hey, this is great. So once again, without further ado, I'm going to show you how you can do that and how you can copy and paste those first liners so that first of all, they're personalized and the person knows that, hey, you researched me already, this email is worth reading. And then secondly, for you to be able to A/B test the different icebreakers and to create one template for yourself, which you can then recycle inside of Clay going forward. So if that sounds good, let's do that straight away. And the first thing I'm going to do is use probably the most boring icebreakers to start with. So the first icebreaker would look something like this. I saw this name was this job title on your team, so guessing you do this specific process. So for example, you could be reaching out to someone and you could say, hey, I saw that Mike is a sales development representative on your team, so I guess you do cold calling, right? So the way we will go about this is we will use the find company contact inside of A. And for pure simplicity, I'm just going to use the find contacts part over here. So I'm going to use find contacts at company, click on find contacts at company. And for example, and straight away, I'm going to say save results in this table. At that moment in time, I'm going to use the LinkedIn company profile URL, so the company to refer to whatever company I want to research. And straight away over here where it says the job title keywords, I'm going to input the keyword that I'm looking for. So for example, if we want to mention in the opening line the marketing team, I'll type in marketing, I'll click continue to add fields, I'll then save it and save and don't run. And I'm going to basically scan to see if any of these companies right now have anyone that works in marketing. Way, we can see over here there is someone that works in marketing for this Triggerify company. So in that case, we'll click on the contacts, we'll click on people, we'll click on the individual, and we can see the name of the individual is Piers Montgomery over here, right? So straight away, we can then say, basically click on add as new column over here, and we can then type in marketing colleague name and click on create column. So on the back of that, what we can then basically do is click on add column again, click on message, and inside of the message, we can then copy and paste this prompt that we just talked about. I saw that you do this specific process. So let's say if we copy and paste it here, we can say, hey, first name, I saw that, and then we can put in the marketing colleague name was a, and then here we just need to select the actual job title of the marketing person. Let's just see the title. So I am guessing you do SEO already, right? And this is like a perfect opening line, SEO opening line, in case of, let's say, we're selling SEO services. So let's have a look at how this plays out. So over here it says, hey, Max, I saw Piers Montgomery was a product and growth marketing manager, so I'm guessing you do SEO already. Once again, it sounds a bit cringe. It's maybe not one of the best first liners, but it does the job. And it basically teaches you the first liner, which is how to basically refer to colleagues and how you can name drop colleagues into outreach. Alternatively, you can also say something like, oh, hey, I was just browsing through, I was just looking at Piers Montgomery's profile and your profile popped up. And once again, this is like something that the LinkedIn algorithm will probably tolerate. And this is something that genuinely sounds legitimate. So that's the first icebreaker out of the way. Let's move on to the second one, and this is one of my favorite ones, which is basically creating some creative ideas for business based on their website. So the way we'll do that is we'll use Clayagent, and this is what we want to basically say. So we want to say, hey, I was on your website, and I had a couple of creative ideas about how you can improve your current SEO, or how you can improve your conversions of website visitors to opt-in forms, or something of that sort. So let's say if you're selling some sort of agency service that helps you with like improving the website in any way, shape, or form, this is super good. So for that, we have this super long prompt that I worked on, and you would be super lucky to get access to this prompt actually inside of the Unlock Clay course, which is only £100, by the way, which is one of the courses that I run right now for people that are learning Clay from scratch. And all we'll have to do here is we'll click on Clay, we'll click on Add Enrichment inside of Clay, and we'll type in Clayagent, and we'll select the Clayagent AI Web Researcher. At that moment in time, it's as magical as you just copying and pasting the entire prompt. Oops. And essentially all we're doing is basically just giving it a bunch of data points saying, hey, the info is a list of things that companies get wrong on their website that prevent them from this like dream outcome, which is like, I don't know, like attracting their ideal clients. And then we give them a couple of pointers of like the kind of things that typically companies mess up. And on the back of that, we basically just feed it the company website. And for this, we can use the Clayagent Anthropic key. So if we click on Clayagent here, and if we select the Sonnet model, we can actually connect our own API key, which is super cheap. And once again, if you haven't watched that video, it's a separate video about how to save Clay credits. So in this case, I'm going to run it for a couple of different companies here. So I'm just going to click on run, and then let's see what it comes up with. Well, after I connect the right API key. As you can see right now, the actual opening line follows our prefix. So over here it says, here are 2 ways to 2x your website visitor conversions. To start a free trial on your website, introduce a regularly updated blog with content focused on demonstrating the value of social intent data and how Triggerify solves specific pain points, and add a concise explainer video on the homepage showcasing your solution. Once again, these are actually pretty good, and if you prompt it even a bit more, it'll give you even better ideas. And especially when you're sending it at a big volume, which you probably will be doing inside of Clay anyways, this is a great icebreaker. So once again, I really recommend this prompt, and you can get it inside of Unlock Clay. So if you just go to unlockclay.com, and if you sign up for the course, you get all of these 30 plus prompts. But in the meantime, you can get it in the guide and just watch the video on how I implement that. So on top of that, we move on to the third one, which is basically this time saying, hey, I've noticed the growth that you had in the last 6 months. And this is especially good if we're reaching out, let's say, to HR teams or talent teams, because it shows that you've done your research on how the company increased their headcount, right? So in this case, we'll go inside of Clay, we'll click on Add Enrichments, we'll type in headcount growth, and there will be an inbuilt feature which is find company headcount growth. You click on that, you can type in the website, and you can type in the company LinkedIn URL here. So you just select those in the toggle, and then that's basically that. You then just click on continue to add fields, and then you can basically select the percent employee growth over the last month or the percent employee growth over the last 6 months. So let's say employee growth over the last 9 months. So let's just select this one, the percentage of employee growth over the last 12 months. We'll save and run a couple of rows. So let's just see how that plans out. Okay, we went through a couple of companies. In this case, we went through Triggerify, and we can see that they grew by 325% in the last year. So straight away, we can click on Add Column. We can type in message, and here we'll say, hey, whatever first name, noticed that you grew by over, and then we'll select whatever the in headcount over the last year. Has it been a challenge? And once again, it just shows that you've done a tiny bit of research. The idea here is not to, reinvent the wheel, but straight away, hey Max, notice that you grew by over 3-5% in headcount over the last year. Has it been a challenge, right? Opens up the door for some sort of communication in the email. But don't you worry, because the one-liners get better and better as you go along. And the reminder that we're going to go through over 40 or 30 one-liners. So that does mean that, I really need to kind of spend a couple of hours on this most likely. All right, in the next one, we're going to reference any open roles that a company is currently hiring for. So for this one, we will need to use Clayagent extension once again. we'll go inside of the clay table, we'll click on add enrichment in the top right corner, we'll type in clay agent, we'll select the enrichment, and we will basically copy and paste this prompt, which I'm sure you can basically fill in yourself. And once again, you can probably pause the video and do that, or you can grab the guide underneath the video. So you can say check for open roles that, and then just select the company website. So in this case, I'm just going to select the company website, and then say is hiring for. When you find the role, the output should fit my prefix. Notice you're hiring for a job title role. Replace the curly brackets with the simplified job title of the open role, and select just one role they are hiring for. Right. At that moment in time, I'm going to click on save. I'm just going to run it just for Google, because obviously not every single company in the world is hiring for roles right now. So I'm just going to click on that, and you should see the output in a second. Now, in this case, you can see straight away this was the output. So it says, noticed you're hiring for a software engineer role. And straight away, the way that this basically picks out the role is it did a Google search of Google's career pages. And you can see over here that there were 3 steps that were taken. Basically, the AI can go visit the website, interpret the website, and it pulls out one role that the company is hiring for, which is quite a cool icebreaker, if you ask me. So in the meantime, let's move on to the next one. Next opening line is really, really good when reaching out to venture capital funds or private equity companies, simply because we can reference their portfolio companies. So in other words, we can reference the companies that they have invested in the past. So for that, all we need to do is go inside of Clay. We need to, once again, we'll click on add enrichment in the top right corner. We'll type in clay agent, and we'll click on clay agent here, and we'll copy and paste the prompt over here, which I'm sure you can pause the screen and you can like type it up manually, or you can just join Unlock Clay for £100 and you can get access to all of these lovely prompts. So then at that moment in time, you'll basically click and run. And I'm just going to do it for the one company here that we have, which is a venture capital fund, which is Launch Africa Ventures, which I have the privilege of working with in the past. So let's see what it comes up with. Now, straight away, we can see that AI visited the website, and as always, you have the reason here. So they visited the website, and it picked out 2 or 3 different companies. So in this case, this is the response here. We can add it as a column. We can then basically type in this column to be portfolio companies, and we can then click on create column. At that moment in time, we can then click on add column over here, type in message, and then say something like, I just came across, and then type in portfolio companies in your portfolio. And that got me wondering, or something of that sort, because once again, the only thing that matters here is that you make the portfolio companies the subject line, because who in a venture capital fund is really going to resist an email that basically is titled mentioning specifically the companies that they invested into? So that's another first liner that we've just ticked off the list. And now we can move on to the next one, which is most likely going to be, I was on your website and I saw that you work with this specific company. Now, the way we'll pull this one off is using Clayagent once again. Let's type in Clayagent, and over here we'll basically type in this not fancy prompt whatsoever. We'll basically say visit the website, and we'll give it the company domain or website, and tell me one notable company that is mentioned in quotes, testimonials, or case studies. And then basically we will then use this input of whatever company that they worked with in the past, and we will basically say, hey, I noticed that you work with this current client. So we're going to generate that. Let's wait for that. Now, once again, AI was absolutely rapid here. So it basically found specifically Fluencer, which is one of the companies mentioned in the testimonial on their website. And all we need to do then is click on add column, so click on message, and then say saw the testimonial of, and then we just select the output here, which was the company on your website, and that got me wondering, and then blah blah blah. You can kind of then just blag your way through that one. And once again, as the subject line, you can keep the testimonial, the name of the company that left a testimonial on their websites, because once again, most likely it's a good client of theirs, so they will open up an email which mentions their current client that they're working with. So that brings us nicely to icebreaker number 7, I think it is, where now we're going to talk about how to reference the most recent post about a specific topic, which is currently not possible inside of Clay because I think LinkedIn changed their browsing cookies stuff. So basically, in simple terms, this enrichment is currently unavailable, but I think it will be available soon, and I'll show you how to do that. If you want, you can just click on that video and he will redirect you into a video that shows you how to do that inside of Clay. But anyways, for the time being, we'll move on to the next one, which is basically saying, hey, I saw your businesses in this specific industry. So for this specific one-liner, we'll click on Add Enrichment. We'll use Clayagent again. We'll select Clayagent and we'll copy and paste this prompt. And then we'll basically tell it to visit the website. We'll give it the website. And from all of that, it's supposed to tell us what industry the company is working in. So it's like what industries their target clients are in. And for the purpose of this one, I'll basically just type in a website that I'm quite familiar with, just so that it basically picks up the right kind of opening line for this one. And straight away, it should be loading. In this case, AI says that this company focuses on coaching and consulting industry. And then in this case, I'm just going to click on Add Column again, type in message, copy and paste the prefix, so you hold businesses in there, and then just basically select the actual output from the previous one, which is, and it would look something like this. And then as the subject line as well, we might as well just input whatever industry they're focusing on, because once again, it could get the attention of like a sales rep or whoever we're emailing. So in this case, it says, so you hold businesses in the coaching and consulting, and then we can just add like industry. And that got me wondering, or something of that sort. Once again, like the whole idea of these prefixes is that after that, you link it somehow to your product or to the headaches that the ICP is facing. That brings us really, really nicely into the next part of this video, which is the changes in website traffic. And the way that you will do this is by using SEMrush. And once again, inside of Clay, you will just click on Add Enrichments. You'll type in SEMrush. And then you will click on Get Traffic Analytics. And in this case, you're going to type in the company website and the month that you want to select. So in this case, I'm just going to do the first month of 2024. I don't know, or like let's say month like last December. So then at that moment in time, we can just run it for a couple of companies, see what the output looks like. For here, if we click on traffic found, it will give you the number of visits. So it basically gives you in total the direct visits, search visits and stuff, and all of those different types of visits. Case, you could basically just run one enrichment for getting the traffic from 1 month. So in this case, we basically did it for the 11th month of 2024, so for November, I think it is. But if we want to do absolutely the same, we can do the same for, let's say, December, and then see if there was a difference in the rate of traffic, for example. So this is one way that we can leverage this to personalize the first liner. So let's just have a look at the traffic difference. And straight away, we can just basically click on this one and type in and select let's say total visits, and we'll say total visits in November, create column, and then here we can basically do the same for total visits in December, right? And once again, in this case, we can see that this website went up in traffic, so you basically increased and this one dropped. So in that case, we can use formulas. We can click on add column formula and say if traffic, if total, so we can basically say if total traffic in December is lower than November, then say, you can basically generate an if statement like that. So basically, if traffic dropped, we say, hey, we noticed the traffic dropped, and typically that means that you need to optimize your SEO or something of that sort. But then you can say, hey, I saw your web traffic grew, and that means that right now you probably need to prioritize speeding up the speed at which your page loads, so that all of these 13,000 people are actually able to load the page very fast. So we can see in this case, I'm going to click on output is correct. And over here it says, I saw your web traffic grew in the last 2 months. And then in this case, it says, I saw your web traffic grew in the last 2 months as well. And obviously it depends on if the traffic grew or if it got smaller. So once again, this will be dependent on that. But hopefully this first liner will do you wonders. And once again, you can get SEMrush separately, which will be a lot cheaper than getting it inside of Clay. Now, you can also use this trigger for congrats on the new funding round. That sounds cringe. Every single salesperson is using this, so don't say this exact thing. Suppose you were silly and you were trying to qualify a company to see if they raised some funding. You can use Clayagent and just prompt Clayagent to do that. Alternatively, you can click on Add Enrichment. You will type in funding, and you will click on total funding or latest funding or funding stage, one of those. So let's say I go on latest funding, and let's say I select those two. I basically will just save and not run. And I will just do this for Trigify because I'm fairly sure that Trigify raised $2.4 million. And let's just check how accurate this search will be. Absolutely, we can see that the outcome here has been that they raised seed funding and they raised 1.2 million. So we can basically select total funding amount, and then we can say seed. And in this case, the way we could basically reference it is, for example, let's say if your client or like you run some sort of like advisory firm for fundraising, you can say noticed you raised your, and then over here we'll basically select the latest funding. And once again, in this case, we'll say something like, hey, noticed you raised this seed funding round recently, and typically this poses the threat of whatever, like cyber attacks or whatever the hell you want to sell to them as a result of that, right? And then you can pivot into pitching your product shamelessly there. So, I mean, in this case, you can just basically type in the round question, and then basically if we click on save and don't run here, you should be able to see that the opening line would look something like this, where it says, if I just click on that, should reset. Noticed you raised seed. Noticed you raised the seed round of fund. Just tweaked it here, so let's just click on save and don't run. And straight away it says, notice you raised some seed funding recently, and typically this poses the threat of cyber attacks, right? And then you can pivot into whatever you sell. So that's quite a few icebreakers already, but because you're in for an absolute treat and it's a Saturday today, I'm going to go through a couple more. So in this case, we're going to basically just pull this one-liner, which is leveraging build with. And once again, I've got separate videos on how you can scrape build widths to get this data points. But for the time being, I'll show you how to do this if you were to do it using Clay credits. So in this case, this is going to be the icebreaker. For that, we'll basically say we'll go inside of Clay, we'll click on Add Enrichments, we'll type in build with, and we'll click on Find Technology Stack, and we'll fill in the keyword. So let's say we want to find if someone is using Google Analytics, or actually no, screw that. Let's do DMARC, because a lot of you guys will probably be like running lead generation agencies. And for context, I think anyone that has DMARC installed on their website is a good cold emailer. So they know that. So if they install DMARC, they're more likely to be fairly good at cold emails. But if they don't have DMARC installed, that means that basically they're rookie and they're completely new to cold emails. So in this case, let's say in this case the match was found, and in that case we can basically just say something like, so if we click on add column message, we can say, so you have, and then built with. And once again, the idea behind this is to just reference some sort of observation. And I think this is super important. So let's say we can say DMARC installed, ? And then save and don't run. And you would see that the opening line is something like, or would sound something like this. And it's, so you have DMARC installed on your website, and you could say something like, that means that you are into cold email deliverability, and that means that you need to buy a lot of different email domains, and this is where we come in, and you can like pitch your service. Alternatively, you can go down the path of, hey, you don't have DMARC installed, and that means that you're more likely to be prone to land in spam, and this is where like our email warm-up tool comes into play, right? So that's the idea behind this, and we're currently probably about 10 prompts in. So next up, we have, given that you have this amount of employees, or something like, as you grow past this amount of employees. So this will be the next thing that we're looking at. All right, next up we have this lovely one where we basically just enrich the company, and what we need to do for that one is click on add enrichment. We'll type in enrich company. For those of you that don't have lead magic just yet, I recommend getting lead magic, or you can click on enrich company, which is the native inbuilt clay option. Either way, just press the button and it will do exactly the same thing. So all you need to do is match the company website, continue to add fields, and then select the employee count toggle to be on. At that moment in time, you're going to click on save and don't run, and you're going to basically then generate this first line, which is going to be, well, as soon as this loads for the company. So let's say we click on play here, and then we can click, you would see that it will basically tell us that, hey, this company has 19 employees. We'll click on add column, we'll click on message, and then we'll say, as you grow past, and then select the employee count. You must be thinking there is a better way to. And once again, something like this could work pretty well. So like the subject line is growing fast, and then the opening line is, as you grow past this number of employees, you must be thinking there is a better way to a specific process, which sounds quite logical. And we can see over here, it says literally that for Trigify, which I think is a pretty decent opening line. So let's move on from that. Now, on top of that, with the same data point, when we enrich the company, we can mention the year that they were founded. So in that case, what we're going to do is basically, once again, click on the enrichment data that was passed on here, and it says founded on, and then it gives you the year, right? So we can click on a column and we can select the year. And more than that, if we want to basically then use formula, we can use formula. So we'll say if today, also something like 2025, minus, and then whatever the year is, because this will give us how many years since the company has been founded. So in this case, it will say that the company has been founded 2 years ago, right? So if we're reaching out to the founder, we could click on add column, message, and then say, so it's been years since you started. Company name. And then this could be the subject line as well. So we're going to save and not run. And in this case, voila, the subject line is, so it's been 2 years since you started Trigify, which once again is a pretty nice observation. It's very entry level, but still the idea of this video is to just show you every single opening line that's possible. More than that, you can do these enrichments where you just basically enrich Instagram or Twitter. In my opinion, like I just don't see a use case for it right now. So if you click on add enrichments, you can type in enrich Twitter. It should come up, or like if we type in Twitter. So yeah, you can find the person's Twitter account or the company Twitter account, but once again, it costs way too many credits. So I'm going to skip through those because the chances are, if you haven't bought the Unlock Clay course, you probably are not going to buy these expensive enrichments, right? So on this note, we're going to go to the next one, which is Google News. And in this case, we can say, just came across this article about your company. Inside of the Clay course, I actually teach you how to get this data point completely, like a lot cheaper, but for the time being, you can just click on Google News, and over here it says find news results, and we will click on that, and basically you can type in whatever query it is. So in this case, I'm going to type in company name, and let's say Trigify, I don't know, like anything, and then the date filter to be the last month. So we want any results about this company in the past month. We'll continue to add fields. And we will basically, at this moment in time, let's do this for one of the more popular companies. So let's say, in this case, we have someone like Morning Brew. I think Morning Brew should be a pretty good one to do this for, because surely they must have some sort of something about that in the news in the last month. So let's just click on that. In this case, once again, you can just click on the results. Let's say we click on this first result, and it says Morning Brew co-founder and CEO steps down. So in this case, we can just say news headline, right? And we can then feed it into OpenAI. So in this case, I'll click on generate text and say, use the input. To be totally honest, I just improvised this entire first line. So let's see if it works. We'll click on save and don't run. And let's just click on this one here. And in theory, it should generate a pretty good first line for this company, saying, saw the news about Morning Brew CEO stepping down, and that got me looking at your company page, right? Once again, you can tweak it if you want, but this is the exact opening line that we can come up with here. More than that, the rest of the opening lines, we can try all of those as well. And you can see that they just go on and on and on. And there are individual videos for each individual one of those opening lines. And if you are privileged enough to be inside of Unlock Clay, you should be able to just basically click on the video, and it shows you step by step how to do that, and it gives you the exact prompt that you can copy and paste into your business as well. So if you want to do that, by all means, just go to unlockclay.com. But other than that, this video just gave you a high-level summary of over 30 different first liners that you can try inside of Clay. And if you want to take me up on that offer, by all means, just go to the link underneath the video to claim all of these lovely videos completely for free. And of course, if after that you decide to join the course, by all means do that. And the course is here, and you can see all the perks. You can see over 100 different testimonials, and it's only £100 on a 30-day money-back guarantee. So anyways, I'll see you on the inside of Unlock Clay. Other than that, have a great day ahead, and thank you for watching this far.